How's it going, guys? Necromancer New with Remnant 2 video. We got Crossplay and very big patch notes, a lot of big changes, so we are going to go through this and just talk about everything. Like, subscribe, comment, it all helps out. More Remnant news and topics and just builds, anything along those lines. But anyways, let's get started. So, Crossplay update. Crossplay. We are thrilled to announce the addition of Crossplay, a highly anticipated feature in Remnant 2. Now players can unite against the Root, irrespective of their chosen platform. Team up with friends or discover open game cross-platforms and embark on your journey together. So for console players, Crossplay is set on by default. This setting will affect your ability to see other games, including friends' games. Within the games of your crossplay setting is set to off. If you can't see a friend's game in-game, then confirm that you have matching crossplay settings. The off setting will prevent you from joining other games. Yada, yada, yada. So, right off the bat, props to Gunfire, props to Remnant 2. They got this crossplay out fairly quick. I mentioned in another video, there's been a lot of other games I've played along the years that crossplay took forever to come out, right? I mean, Apex, Rocket League, Dead by Daylight. There's a few other games I've, mentioned here and there, but they've taken quite a while, and Remnant has gotten this out fairly quickly. So props to Remnant, props to Gunfire. They're putting in that work. Next on the list, Aberration Domination Event. So, if you guys played a few months back, we had something similar to this before. Aberration Domination. So, the Root have seized yet another opportunity to unleash a horde of menacing aberrations across the world. From February 29th to March 5th, gear up and face this challenge head on, defeat these sinister foes, and collect the elusive corrupted shards, a rare material of untold potential. Head over to Enigmatic Dwell and Ward 13. You can trade these corrupted shards to craft corrupt versions of some new special weapons. That is another really cool thing. If you guys played a few months back, they have done this event before. If you haven't played it before, the gist of it is, as you're running through the worlds, you're just going to come across more aberrations. There's going to be different varieties on them, and probably more mutators evolved as well, which is super nice. So I'm excited to see that coming. Excited to get another challenge increase, just get more aberrations in the world and collect those corrupted shards, because this is the best way to collect as many as you can. So, these are the archetype changes. We got some pretty big changes for quite a few of these classes. So let's go over what we got. Hunter. Hunter's focus ADS requirement from 1 second to 0.5 seconds. This means players need only aim for half a second before Hunter's focus bonus is applied instead of the full 1 second before. I like that change. I feel like that Hunter just took a little too long for you to lock onto someone, for you to get that extra critical chance buff, critical damage buff. So I like the half second. That's a good change. Challenger. Die Hard now grants 1 stack of Bulwark while it is unavailable. So that is nice. War Stomp now deals explosive damage. That is a nice change as well. So the dev note, we wanted to make Die Hard a bit more impactful since it is a prime perk. While having an extra life is great, the 10-minute time down is very long. Instead of shortening the cooldown, the challenge becomes tougher until Die Hard is available again. I like that change as well. So if you get downed, you got that 10-minute cooldown, you're just going to automatically have 1 stack of Bulwark, which just means more damage reduction and all those goodies, which just makes you live longer. Medic, no changes. Dev note, Medic is already powerful. What did you expect? Calm down. I like that. I don't think Medic needed anything changed or done with it. It's a very solid class, very powerful by itself. Handler. Pack Hunter no longer requires the companion to be up to grant the bonus. Pack Hunter now increases melee damage and melee crit chance 30% and 5% at max. So that is pretty nice as well. So we get a 30% damage for the melee, an extra 5% melee crit chance. That's nice. Companion house sizes are now affected by aura size increases. I like that change as well. But let's go over this dev note. When the companion went down after not taking too much damage, the handler lost all the damage bonuses. We now only require the handler to be in range of their companion. However, you should always try to get your buddy up, because that's the right thing to do. We also included melee damage for their damage perk to make them a bit more versatile. I like these changes as well. So, yeah, it just makes handler a lot more useful, a lot more just good for the game. the fact that if it ever got down and you lost those bonuses was pretty vital. So you always had to make sure that companion was up. But now with this, it doesn't need to be up. You still get those bonuses, which is very big. And I like the aura changes affected the companion how. I don't know why I didn't do that before, but that would be a great addition. If you increase your aura size trait, that means the companion how size is going to be increased as well. So I'll Gunslinger. So the only thing that really changed, the quick draw charge was increased by 1 and increased the damage by 50%. They're just trying to make quick draw a little more versatile opposed to those other skills that everyone just uses. I like that change. Hopefully we'll see a lot more uses in the quick draw because quick draw was a little underwhelming compared to the other ones. So I like that change. Summoner. Summoner probably got one of the biggest changes. We're going to talk about that. Dominator gains explosive damage type. The Dominator no longer grants a damage increase to range/melee on sacrifice. Dominator now always grants a bonus to mod skill explosive damage. So we received much feedback from players wishing to play the Summoner as a more minion-focused archetype, so we removed the damage benefits to ranged and melee and added explosive damage bonus, which works for sacrifice and all other explosive options, and made them always active. This should be more options for mod, skill, and explosive builds while leaving ranged and melee to other archetypes. There are potentially more summoner changes in the works. So I like this. I mentioned this before a while back. In the first Remnant, I had a very powerful summon explosive build. So this is exactly what I wanted. This one was missing out on that. So that is probably the first build I'm going to be making is an explosive summoner build because that just sounds like a blast. So stay tuned for that. But we move on. Alchemist added melee speed and melee charge speed to Frenzy Dust. Added skill reset if Thrown Vial does not find the ground after a certain period of time. Enable flash caster and throw speed to benefit Vial skills. So just some solid changes right here as well. I like the melee speed, melee charge speed to Frenzy Dust. It just makes it a lot more versatile, along with the fire rate and everything else it already does, movement speed. I think Alchemist is definitely going to get a lot more uses now. Engineer. So let's talk about that. Added range damage to Metalworker damage perk. Max 25% at level 10. Turrets can now critical hit. That is huge. So, dev note. To make Engineer a bit more viable for the turret place, we added a damage boost to the Engineer's range damage. Note, the heavy weapon itself is still considered skill damage. This is to benefit their primary, secondary weapon when not brandishing or deploying a heavy weapon. I like this change. I think the turrets doing critical hits is huge. It'll be fun to see what people can build with that. And I like just the range damage to the Metalworker. I think that's a nice change as well. Just adding more damage to the range. Anyways, we move on to Archon. Increase the damage from Chaos Gate to 15 to 50%. Chaos Gate now increases incoming damage by 15%. Lasts 10 seconds after leaving. Power Creep now properly allows mod generation while a mod is active. So we wanted to buff Chaos Gate while keeping the original design concept. It now grants a noticeable damage adjust, but the trade-off is that more incoming damage penalty cannot be avoided by simply leaving the AoE. Players will need to be more careful after obtaining the buff. I like that change. 50 to 50% is massive, and I think that is going to be utilized a lot more for just heavy damage increases. I'm excited to see what people are going to do for that. We move on. Invader. Stacks of Shark now fall off one at a time. Reduces the duration of Sharks to 10 from 15% or 15 seconds, my bad. Perfect Dodge Evade now instantly grants 5 stacks of Shark. So the original Shark buff lasted 15 seconds total. There were many cases where it would fall off and require you to start building it all over again, thus making the Invader harder to keep active. We changed it so that the buffs fall off individually and lowered the individual buffs time to 10 seconds. For a total of 50 seconds total damage increase. We will monitor the durations and make adjustments where necessary. I like those changes as well. Invader, I think, was already a very good class as long as you knew what you were doing, but I think this just makes it a lot more accessible to other people. So I'm excited to see what people come up with that. Explorer dramatically sped up the dig animation of Gold Digger. It was tricky for players to get a handful of fountains off during combat, so we basically have the time it takes for it to appear. Explorer, I like that. It's a pretty simple change. I don't think it's going to make Explorer that much better. I think Explorer is more of a not a gimmick, but just if you want more funds of like benefits of just stuff like that. But anyways, we move on. Ritualist now erupt now deals explosive damage. That is huge. Death Wish now respects kinship trait again, but does not get reduced by armor as it once did. Death Wish no longer kills the player and will instead leave them at 1 HP. I like those changes. Explosive damage to erupt is crazy. I think that's going to be very big. And explosive damage seems to be the new thing with this patch. Death Wish, I like the changes to Death Wish, leaving you at 1 HP instead of killing you, because that Death Wish, it's a double-edged sword. You can really pull off some crazy things, get some massive damage increases, but you really need to make sure your output damage is there, because otherwise it's just going to destroy you. So, alright guys, so next on the list, Atonement Full, disabled voice lines for I'm bleeding when worn. While not really a balancing issue, the constant voice callouts were pretty annoying, so we disabled them while wearing the ring. I like that change because we put on that ring for a reason. We know we're bleeding. We don't need to hear it every 10 seconds. Good change. Very simple, but it's a good change. We move on. In short, for this section right here, they reduced a lot of the spread reduction, and so the main thing they're trying to do, as they said in the dev note, was spread reduction was getting out of hand. It was incredibly strong. People were basically turning all the shotguns into snipers, which I understand. It's still strong, guys, but what they're doing is just making it a little more of a build savvy, so you have to make a few more things centered towards it to make it as strong as it was before. I like that change. I think it's simple enough. It makes sense. And we move on. The next thing on the list, Feedback Mutator can now generate mod power while mod is active, and the Reprocessed Heart can now generate mod power while the mod is active. So it just makes these a lot more beneficial. You're getting that mod generation as you still have a mod going on. I like those changes. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more mod uses and a lot more mod builds, so that is fun to see. I can't wait what people are going to make up with that. And we're nearing the end of the patch notes, or at least when it comes to other things other than bug fixes. I'm just going to read over these pretty fast. So Anguish fixed the weapon scaling to properly cap it 3 times instead of 2 times. Crescent Moon, overcharged shots during Moonlight Barrage no longer shoot 2 bolts. Total damage potential of this weapon is unchanged. The only difference is that we no longer reward a non-perfect charge. You must hit perfect charge to reach maximum damage. I like that change. It makes sense. Twisted Arbalist. Primary Fire now refreshes any current Guardian mark on hit while mod is active. Nebula, Nanoswarm now applies a very small corrosive damage over time. I'm not sure why it didn't do that to begin with, but I like that change as well. The Huntress Spear got some buffs as well. Increases charge projectile speed, increases charge speed, and added a small corrosive damage over time on hit. I like those changes. It's pretty interesting. They're just trying to make it up to par with the Krell Axe is my thoughts. And for the Spectral Blade, they removed the ability to scale with AoE/aura traits. This was never intended, slipped through the cracks. I like that change. Spectral Blade was stupid strong if you had the right things equipped, so I understand those changes. Now, I'm not going to go through any of these, but at the end of this, guys, is a bunch of quality of life, bug fixes, changes for gears, items, classes, enemies, everything along the lines. So if you guys want to see more of that, make sure to just check out the website and go over those yourself. I'm not going to go over those because there is a lot of small changes and fixes here and there. So if you guys are more interested in those bug fixes, check them out. But otherwise, guys, that is about it on the list. What did you like about these changes? What are you guys excited to see? And what are you guys going to be using? So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Leave a like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 700 subscribers, so anything is super appreciative. But I hope to catch you all out there. Enjoy the aberration domination, get those corrupted shards, enjoy the new class changes, and I will see you guys in future videos. Bye-bye.